Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be on the Tonight Show.
This is the 4936 Spot Podcast.
And faithful, stand up, baby.
What's up, folks out there? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tonight Show, episode 2. We titled this one Feeling Dangerous. I don't know. We got the confidence going. We got the good vibes rolling. And on top of that, the icing on the cake, the Seahawks lost, even though it probably wasn't the best outcome for us in terms of our standings and playoff aspirations and seeding and all that good stuff. But the Seahawks lost on primetime television. So it's always a good time when that happens. My name is B. Amechi. As always, I'm with JB.
What's poppin', B? What's poppin', faithful? Yeah, man, I didn't even catch the game all the way. I just seen a little bit at the beginning. And then I heard that, they lost. Russell Wilson threw a pick at the end or something like that.
Yeah, he threw an interception at the end, but I have his stats right here in front of me. We can just get right into that, man. We'll get into the Seahawks game because although this is a 49ers podcast, we have to celebrate when the rest of the division is faltering before our eyes. This is a tough division we got. It's one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. And, this was a kind of a win-win game, like I said, because, on one hand, if the Rams win, then they beat the Seahawks. That's always a good time, right? Always a good time. I'm never going to, I don't care about seeding and all that. I'll take the Seahawks losing. But on the other hand, if the Seahawks would have won, that could have helped us, especially with us having one more game against the Rams to finish off the regular season, us already having beat them earlier in this year. So when you look at playoff seeding and all those sort of things, it has implications. But I honestly feel like this year, the Green Bay Packers are 11-3. There's, I think, 4 teams that are 10-4, the Cardinals, the Rams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Dallas Cowboys. And then you have all these, and then it's us, I feel like. Then you have all these kind of like, 7-7, 6-7 type teams, right? And so, I think regardless of seeding, it'd be hard for us to supplant the Arizona Cardinals. So having said that, it's kind of about matchups. Like if we're the 6th seed, that might be better for us than being in the 5th seed. Like it just doesn't really. I don't think there's that big of a separation in a year like this, depending on where you're at, because all these teams are formidable. It's just about matchups and those sort of things. But before we get straight into the topics, the content, the comment section, all that good stuff, you are tapped into the Tonight Show with 49365. On Frontline Sports Media. You already know what it is. This is our 2nd episode. We're doing the 9 p.m. hits Cali time on Tuesdays. Make sure you tap into this channel. We got Croc in the morning, doing the morning shows. Make sure you tap into that. And of course, we got Jasper and Jamal Wednesdays at 6 p.m. So make sure you tap into that. But a lot we want to get to, a lot that's going to be going down in the comment section. We're kind of just going to vibe out, right out. If this is your first time on the Tonight Show, make sure you get comfortable, tap in, tune in, however you're doing it, get a drink, get something to just vibe out to, because we are still in victory mode and we do have a Thursday night football game coming this week. So, the energy is a little bit different this week. So definitely vibe out, whatever, you need to do. Make sure you vibe out. In the comment sections, let us know how you feeling right now. Show the emojis, whether it's a fire emoji. I like the prayer hands emoji. Whatever you need to do. Show us how you feeling. We vibing with y'all tonight. But JB, I wanted to continue. I know you said you didn't really watch the Seahawks game tonight, but because it's fresh and I just kind of saw, I wasn't really intentionally watching it, but I had it on in the background. And what I was doing is going to the other side on Twitter. We follow a few Seahawk, fan Twitter accounts. And for those of y'all who don't really know me and JB that well, one of my best friends is a diehard Seahawks fan. We went to college together, lived with him for 6+ years. So, I have him on from time to time. I text him to get his response after tonight, but I didn't hear anything back yet. But I did go to Evan Hill's account, definitely an account that I check out and try to bask in the moment in terms of them having a tough season for the first time in so long. And he tweeted out something that was interesting. And for those of y'all who don't know who Evan Hill is, he's a member of a Seahawks. Y'all know who Evan Hill is. He's a member of a Seahawks blog, podcast, all that good stuff. And, they've owned us, right? So I know after that loss in Seattle, it was tough to go on Twitter. It was tough to, kind of just experienced that faithfully. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It was just a tough time. But I'm looking on his page now, and he said one thing that I just wanted to highlight on his Twitter. He said 1 playoff win in 5 seasons, and it was against an aging 45-year-old one-legged Josh McCown leading the Eagles. Just putting things into perspective, because a lot of times when you think about the 49ers team, whether it be from way back in the Jim Harbaugh era to even now in the Shanahan era, we haven't gone to the playoffs that many times. But when we do, we going pretty far. You know what I'm saying? We usually get wins. It's NFC Championship game, Super Bowl appearances. That's what it's been the last 4 times. And, it's great to have sustained success in the regular season and to always be competitive. And that's what you want to do. You want to set your team up with the best chance. You don't want to have seasons where you're not making the playoffs and you're trash and all that. But, I was thinking about it earlier today, and JB, I'll get your thoughts on this. When you're in a position where, you can go to the playoffs, like at the beginning of the season, you say, looking at the NFL landscape, we are a competitive team. We should make the playoffs. That's the type of team that we have. That's the type of team that we are. Really, there's so many different levels that franchises are at. Some are rebuilding, and so they're not really trying to make the playoffs per se. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the New York Jets, I don't think, maybe their coaches would say otherwise, but I don't think they had aspirations to really make the playoffs this year, right? But if you're in year 3, year 4, all those sort of things, I think for most fans, at least, the goal isn't really to make the playoffs, especially with there being 7 teams now, right? I think the goal is to at least win 1 game in the playoffs. Obviously, compete for a championship. That's going to be the default answer. But I feel like competing for a championship and being a good enough team to at least get 1 win in the playoffs, that's where you kind of want to be. So it's just interesting to see that tweet and really think about, yes, although this is going to be the Seahawks' first losing season, I believe, with Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll at the helm together in this regime, they only have 1 playoff win in the last 5 years. So just a little perspective. It's just interesting to think about, What are your thoughts, JB? You got any thoughts on that opening statement that I have, just kind of down in the Seahawks?
Yeah, boy, we in the 7 minutes, 27 seconds.
I had to.
But no, for real. I mean, first going back to Rams, Seahawks, and who I wanted to win. I mean, I don't know what the odds would be, but I'd just rather have the Seahawks out of it because, if they were to win this game, it just puts a little bit more pressure on us, because they beat us twice. So it's they would still, if we were to somehow in a crazy way, we lose some games and they keep on winning, they could take our spot, as opposed to the Vikings, the Eagles, the Falcons,
they had no chance. Obviously, it's easy to say in retrospect, but I was saying that they didn't have a chance, bro. They didn't have a chance, bro.
I mean, if they won this game, then they would have a chance.
No, because it would take. We have a free win. I'm gonna just say it. We have a free win on our schedule. Okay, I'm just gonna say that we have a free win in the Texans.
Like the Cardinals had a free win
against the Lions.
Yeah.
Point well taken.
That's all I'm saying, bro. I'm not saying that. Obviously I mean, my bad. Not obviously, but the odds were the odds were not in their favor. But I just didn't want that pressure of I don't know. That just would have gave me anxiety. Yeah. That if they were to win, if they were to beat the Rams, then they would have been on a high horse. So there's that. So at least it's okay, season is officially over. I don't know if they're automatic. I don't know if they're
not making the playoffs. They're not making the playoffs. There's no way. They're out of it.
Now they're really out of it. So
let me read this to you about the game. Russell Wilson was 17 of 31, which is 55% completion percentage, 156 yards, which is a 5-yard average, 1 interception. Now, Lockett was out the game. They had a lot of issues with this game. That's why it's on Tuesday night, of course. So Lockett was out the game. So that's going to definitely, there's adding context to it. But I think you mentioned when we were playing them, he just doesn't really look the same. this year in terms of like the athleticism, the getting out the pocket, all those sort of things, right?
Oh, you talking about Russell Wilson?
Russell Wilson, yes,
Oh,
sir.
yeah.
So he just doesn't, it just doesn't look the same. I know you said you weren't watching the game, so I don't want to talk about this too much longer. You know what I mean? But I
Hey,
definitely wanted to
and
bring that up.
just on another note though too, I mean, right now I feel like we going in the right direction, and I remember at the beginning of the season,
Mm.
I was really scared of the Rams. I was scared of them, and I'm no longer scared of them. Not to say that they're trash or like oh we just gonna beat them, like we got to show up, but I don't look at them like damn, like they don't. Matt Stafford wasn't looking just like he's it's not looking like oh Matt Stafford and Sean McVay. Oh now what are we gonna do? It doesn't look like that anymore. So hey man, I'm excited. And then in terms of the Seahawks, yeah, like in their playoffs, one win in the playoffs in the last 5 years. I mean, yeah, them Seahawkers, them bloggers. I've been tapped in with them. This year might be the worst year, but they've been. Last year they lost to broken hand Jared Goff in the playoffs. So like
I brought up the stat, man. One playoff win in the last 5 years.
right, and they was pissed off about that last year. Last year they was that last year they've been on the like should we trade Russell? Should we get him out of here? Like so they've been on it. It's just this year it's kind of like pushing it. It's like what is it? Is it gonna happen? Is this a year where something's gonna give?
Yeah, man. And so it'll be interesting to see. Like, there's definitely looks like it's going to be changes looming. But not even looking at the Seahawks. Obviously, this is a relevant game for us because Rams, Seahawks, NFC West. You know what it is. But I wanted to kind of take a step back before we talk about anything else from that Atlanta game and even getting into Tennessee Titans Thursday Night Football, which you got to be juiced for. Just looking at a bird's eye view on the NFC West right now, but not just right now. Talking about long term, the future. So next year, next 2 years, like those sort of things. The interesting thing about our division is that all of the teams have made these aggressive plays, right? Whether that be the Seahawks and trading for Jamal Adams. This boy getting me seasick right now with the camera, moving it around and stuff. Let's get that. Let's get that straight before I throw up.
I'm on my daughter iPad. Like my Mina got the laptop, so that's why I'm messing with it. It ain't
Hey, the iPad got a better camera, so you might. That's why you're looking extra crisp. But when you look at the overview, the big picture of it, right? We've all been aggressive. The Seahawks trading up to get Jamal Adams. I believe that was for 2 first-round picks, if I'm not mistaken. Shout out to Robert Saleh and the Jets. You look at the LA Rams. We know the moves they made, whether that be for Stafford, Ramsey. They've always been aggressive. And not only that, but Von Miller. Like, they traded mid-round picks to get him. So, they're depleted moving forward when it comes to the draft, both of those teams. And then even with the Arizona Cardinals, they've made aggressive plays to, sign some of these older free agents. Obviously, J.J. Watt, you're taking a risk because that's somebody who's old. He could get hurt, got hurt. You know what I'm saying? And all the moves that they made, A.J. Green, et cetera, you can go down the list. And obviously the DeAndre Hopkins, which I believe that trade is pretty much finalized. I don't think there's any draft picks associated with that anymore. I could be wrong. But when you look at that, man, you know what I'm saying? You just kind of think like, man, like how is the future of this division going to be? Because like one of the big things with trading up to get Trey Lance is like, oh, we don't have draft picks, so we can build, other places on our team and have cost control players and, just high value pick. If you're a big draft guy who thinks that, success is built through the draft and high round draft picks and whatnot, then it's like, these are huge assets that we're giving up. But you look around in division and all the teams are doing similar things, right? To a certain extent. The difference is, whereas they traded for Jamal Adams or whereas they traded for Von Miller and, these sort of older players or players that have whether injury concerns, with Jamal Adams being out for the season, with Von Miller being older, J.J. Watt being out. I know that wasn't a trade, but the point I'm saying is that a lot of these aggressive moves that these other teams in our division have been making have kind of like, they corner you. You don't have the draft picks. You don't have those sort of capital and all those sort of things. At least we have a young rookie quarterback. It remains to be seen the ceiling of him, how good he'll actually be. But the question I wanted to, have you answer, and I wanted to have y'all tap in with the chat, in the chat section, is about, do you think who has the brightest future in the NFC West? And I know it's easy to say us, but I'm just generally thinking like next 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, let's say up to 3 years, who do you feel like has the brightest future in the NFC West? Because, you know, I think the Rams, like you said, you were scared earlier in the year. Obviously, the health situation was different. You know, they had other players. They had, you know, at the wide receiver position, some things changed around, but now they have Odell. Now they have, you know, you see what Cooper Kupp is doing. You see, you know, what Matt Stafford is doing. I think he's the fastest player in NFL history to 50,000 yards, which is an amazing accomplishment. And he's finally, you know, going to be in a situation where he has a legitimate, you know, contending team. You know, is that enough for the next 3 years? Like, do you feel like that's something you said you were scared at the beginning of the season? Is that something that you're going to be scared coming into next season and moving forward? That's my question for you, JB. That's my question for y'all. Tap in with us in the chat section. Before you get to that, JB, I just wanted to tap in with some of the faithful out there. Jamar Armstrong, y'all make sure y'all tap in. What's good, being JB? Hey, what up, family? We also had a what up family from Johnny. We see you, family. You already know what it is, man. And one comment on Seattle. You could imagine being rough in these past decade. Yeah, man, it's crazy when you got a close family member or a friend that's on the other side. And you know, I don't know how people do it with the relationships. You know, they have like the significant others that's like, you know, complete rival teams. It's like that's got to be tough. Especially if y'all both turned up. But make sure y'all let us know in the comment section. But JB, I'll pass it to you. Like, what do you think in terms of the next 1 to 3 years? Who has the brighter future in the NFC West?
Man, I hate to be like one of the, like, you know, Mr. No Fun or, you know, a Debbie Downer. But I remember seeing this quote, and I think, you know, I done felt it before. And it said, like, if you emotional about something, I'm paraphrasing, but basically, if you're emotional about something, it's almost always impossible to predict the future, you know, a future outcome. So it's like, I mean, I don't know, man, like this, it could go a lot of ways, but obviously, let me stop saying obviously, because you told me about
I hate that word. I hate that word. I hate the word obviously, man. For y'all, it's a little bit of an inside joke. That's why I was laughing when you said that earlier. I hate the word obviously. I'm a big stickler for words. Why do I hate the word obviously? Because nothing is obvious. Obvious means that this is the opinion clearly, and if you think otherwise, then you're an idiot. That's basically what obviously means. It's an asshole statement.
Yeah, I feel you,
it's
but
asshole energy.
That's not what
I know, but in general, that's why I hate that word.
When they say it too. So, okay.
That's why I hate that word.
Anyways, the Seahawks, they you know, their future doesn't look bright, you know, obviously, or not obviously. but you know, they future don't look bright to me. But like I said, it's just like you never know what could happen. You know, the Cardinals, they got Kyler, so like at the end of the day, I'll just put it like this: the Seahawks, to me, right now, they seem like, you know, it's us, the Rams, the Cardinals. Right now, like, you know, there's different people trending up and down, and we're trending up, and you know, but that's right now. So, you know, to see how it's gonna all play out and how it's gonna play out over the next few years, and what other moves people gonna make, and what's gonna like you know, just all the things that could happen. Like, you know, they got Sean McVay with the Rams, and he, you know, he seems like, you know, he's trying to make something shake, and so do Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, I don't know, but like I said, the Seahawks, to me, hopefully, I mean, but even in their worst year, they swept us, you know. So I don't know, but in terms of, like, you know, future outlooks, like I said, man, I didn't, you know, with this Niners thing, I didn't had too many times where I just feel like I never can predict the future of how things are gonna go with our team. Like, I don't know. I feel like, you know, just looking back on it, like I wish we would have some sound bites from, you know, our Tom Sula podcast era.
I got some.
And the type of you know, predictions and takes that we had back then, all the way to Chip Kelly, all the way to, you know, Shanahan, and even to this year. Like, you know, I didn't expect this year was gonna turn out the way it was when we were 3-5. So, you know, it's like I said, I don't want to be Mr. No Fun Zone, but, you know,
basically a no answer. So make sure y'all tap in the comment section. Let us know your thoughts. I'll see a few we'll get to in a second. But my opinion on it is, when you look at it, man, a lot of this, like you just mentioned, a lot can happen. You looked at us at 3-5, you know, not to say that we just thought the season was over, but you have your questions, obviously. You have your questions. Well, maybe some people didn't. I don't know. But anyways, you know, you have your questions. And so things change in the NFL fast. Even when you look at, like, I kind of feel like with the Seahawks, right? It seems like they're closer and closer to big changes, whether that's the GM, whether that's the coach, whether that's Russell Wilson, whether that's all three, right? And when you have those big changes, some rebuilds happen fast, some rebuilds take a long time. You just don't know. There's a lot of variability with it. But I guess in answering the question, that's what I'm drawn back to. That's what I'm thinking about, is who can kind of keep the band together, who has the strongest core, who legitimately looks like they'll have an opportunity to keep their core in their prime together for the next 3 years or so. And I do feel like when we stack up against these other teams in the NFC West, I like the position that we're in, because I'm looking at Trent Williams. He only has, well, I'm not going to say he only knows what he's going to do in his career, and we'll see how long he can go for. Andrew Whitworth with the Los Angeles Rams at left tackle. I don't know how old he is, but I want to say, I mean, he's everybody wants to talk about Tom Brady, but he's out there, you know, he's definitely 40 plus. I'll say that. And he's still playing at a solid level. So we'll see how long Trent Williams can keep things going. Silverback, tap in with him. Shout out to Trent. But you know, looking at him, like, he's a key player for us, right? A top 5 player for us. Looking at Warner, you know, he's going to be hitting the thick of his contract. Same thing with Kittle. You can argue about Kittle in terms of, like, his prime and how long that's going to last because of the way he plays and the physicality and all those sort of things. Similar with Debo, but Debo's a little bit younger, and, you know, we've seen what Debo's doing this year, right? So those are all core pieces on our team. Am I missing somebody? Let's see. Those are all our core pieces on our team. You know, those are the core guys. And then at the quarterback position, I'm not even going to get into this, you know, all the weeds of this, you know, thinking right now. But you guys know the reports out there, like, what's going to happen with Jimmy G? How far are we going to go in the playoffs? How's that going to carry over into next year? I'm not even getting into all that. But my point is, you know, whether we have a rookie quarterback, right? And it remains to be seen how good he is, but we have a cost-controlled asset there, right? If it really just hinges on him, because if Trey Lance could play well and that's the guy we rolling with for the future, which I would think it is, and it looks like it's going to be, then, you know, everything else, all these other pieces on our team, we should even have more money to do a little bit of something in the free agency, even though we can't, you know, do something high in the draft with not having those draft picks for the next 2 years. But I do think that that's kind of the key for all this, like having our prime guys still being here. Look like JB got out the stream real quick. But having all these prime position players for us, you know, being in a cost-controlled situation where, you know, we can take advantage of that. I'm looking at these other teams in the NFC West, like, you know, the Rams, for example. They've been able to get it done. They've kind of, the Rams and the Saints are almost like draft picks don't matter. You know, money doesn't matter. Those are like the two poster teams, I should say, for those philosophies of thinking when it comes to building a team and constructing a competitive team, because they've been competitive throughout their, you know, this whole, you know, past 5 years or so. But it remains to be seen. We say that all the time, but, you know, Whitworth can't keep going forever. You know, they're going to have some issues with the line. They don't have that draft capital, not only from, you know, the moves they made in the past years, but even this year with getting a guy like Von Miller. All those things come at a cost. You know what I'm saying? So I do feel like the Rams are a team that I kind of watch and I say, you know, are they going to be able to keep things going? To the same point I was making, though, they have Ramsey in his prime. They got Donald, you know, it's still in his prime. And Stafford, although he's at the tail end of it, it's a quarterback. We've seen how long quarterbacks can stay in this thing, how long they can, you know, stay in this league. All the rules benefit them and those sort of things. So I think the Rams are a team that it's variable. I think you don't really know where they're going to slide on that scale. And then I had a comment from Jamal Armstrong. Shout out to Jamal. Make sure y'all tap in with Jamal and Jasper and Jamal. 49er Talk. You already know what it is. 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. He was making the comment that the Cardinals have a bright future, that all rides on Mr. Kyler Murray. His main issue is he's too small, and he hasn't proven to be able to stay healthy for a full season. That team goes as Kyler goes. I mean, that's the same thing. You know, Jimmy G hasn't been able to stay healthy, and people talk about how, you know, limited Jimmy G is, and obviously he's been playing pretty strong the past few, you know, weeks and whatnot. So I think it's a lot of, you know, positive energy towards him right now, which is a good thing, right? But at the same time, it's one thing that makes you think about, you know, when you can put all these other pieces around your team to have a competitive team around you, like that's the main thing, because we've been able to keep things rolling even when Jimmy G struggled. So I would think that on that same plane, like if Trey Lance comes in and he doesn't hit the ground running, he's not an elite quarterback to start off his career, which is, that's a very big possibility. People always talk about, Patrick Mahomes and, all these guys, the previous successful examples of people who have sat for some years, whether that's Aaron Rodgers or, even Tom Brady going back that far. But, it's still is most likely that, even after sitting 1 year, he's not going to just be a Pro Bowl quarterback out the gates. That'd be great. But I don't think he needs to be, because of the prime players that we have around him, because of the cost control, the way our finances are set with the team. I do feel like our future is one of the brightest in the NFC West, if not the brightest. Let's bring back JB. Some technical difficulties got pulled off, but we back in this thing. We vibing.
Man,
we back
this
on.
shit is crazy. Like I'm on my phone right now. And it's like the volume is so low, I could barely hear you. But
well, you got to put in some headphones if you can. But if not, we just ride out like this. Yeah. So I would say, to me, I think the Cardinals, they ride with, not only, I think Jamal made the comment that, Kyler Murray, the team's going to go as he goes. Definitely 100%. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But it also is about, it's kind of, I think eyes are on Cliff Kingsbury, right? Because even last year they started off to a solid record. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but towards the end of the season, they lost to us, who was a struggling team, and CJ Beathard was playing in that game and all that, right? They lost to they just kind of faltered a little bit down the stretch. And what we're seeing now, I mean, JB already brought it up. You saw what they did with the Lions. Like that wasn't a close game. The Lions did what they need to do, right? And so you kind of put that eyebrow raise on Cliff Kingsbury too, and say, like, he had a lot of questions coming into the season. It seems like he eliminated all of them, but hey, the NFL is not for long. Like, it's just what you done for me lately? That's what it's all about. What have you done for me lately? And so,
man, it's fragile,
I'm looking
bro.
at it's fragile.
It's fragile with, like you said, with Cliff, and I mean, but just think about, like, come on, like we was really like it wasn't like it was louder than whispers about Kyle Shanahan's job security this year.
Yeah, man, he's
the media.
He's calling him Mike's son. You got to own that. We're calling him Mike's son. He hasn't been Mike's son,
bro. Like once you get to Mike's son, then that means, like, come on, like that was like we was calling him Mike's son, like, and now it's like we have all this hope, and now it's like we feel like we kind of feeling ourselves because the way we've been playing, and you look at the roster is finally doing what we what it's supposed to do, like
season. Yep.
Like Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, Bosa, Warner, Trent Williams. All these guys are blue chip type players, and it's looking like that right now. And so it's kind of like, okay, here we are. But I said it's just fragile though, because all you got to do is lose a few games in a row. Then what? Then all of that good vibes, it just evaporates, and then it's how we riding this high right now, and then it just goes the same to the. I mean, y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is like to be, to win. How we feel as we win, and then how we feel as we lose. So, in terms of future and stuff, it's just how much are we gonna win?
That's the question. How much are we gonna win? I also think, looking at the landscape of the NFC West, like you said, when you're emotional about something, it's hard to predict the future. But I don't know. I guess the reason why I even brought up that topic is looking at the Seahawks, and they have players. They definitely have players, man. They got DK. They got some talent in the secondary. Some would argue how talented they are. That safety group. But they got some talent there, and obviously they have our number. But I think when you look at that team and where they potentially, it just seems like there's big issues. So I'm hoping, as faithful, we praying, we hoping. I saw a comment earlier about the football gods. What was it? When you prayed for a 49ers to have a great season, the gods answered by knocking out the Seahawks, as they are our arch nemesis. Sir Juju, I definitely feel you. We got the good juju on our side with football gods in terms of the way the Seahawks season is going, which is funny, like I said, because this is the first time, right, that they're having a losing season with Russell Wilson when we've had so many of them. But to the point I brought up earlier, one playoff win in the last 5 years. And when we go to the playoffs, we go far. So I'm gonna just say that. But I do feel like the future is bright for us. Faithful, what say you? I definitely want to keep the show going. Make sure y'all tap in with us in the comment section. I'm actually gonna leave a link later on in the show. If any of y'all want to actually get on the stream, tap in, ask a question, vibe with us. We just trying out different things. I want to see what y'all enjoy, what y'all want to do, because it's sometimes good to put a face to a name, if you know what I'm talking about. Keeping things moving, I wanted to talk about, we already had our post-game show about, the whole Falcons win. I don't know if there's any other big takeaways that you have from that game, having it be a few days removed now. And it's interesting because we're in a short week situation where, it's Thursday night football, on to the next, all that. But I definitely wanted to, after you have your more sober thoughts of, a few days after the game, sometimes you look at some things a little bit differently, right? And so what I wanted to ask for JB and to the faithful out there is, are there any big takeaways that you had from the Atlanta Falcons game? Now, for me, my big takeaway is it's all about Jimmy G. There's so many other things that happened in the game. Jimmy G wasn't really a big storyline when I was watching the game because he played well. He did his thing, all those sort of things. But I was more so looking at, how our defense was able to not break, even though we thought we were going to be a little bit vulnerable with our corner situation. I was looking at how, our running game got going on a little bit better than it was. Like it seems like we're finally hitting the mark, even with Elijah Mitchell being out. Jeff Wilson Jr., he kind of went through his preseason of kind of getting revved up and finally seems like he's looking back to his old self. I was thinking about Arden Key and how phenomenal he looked, kind of reminiscent of other 98s that we've had on the team in the past, doing this thing in the middle, making us just completely even. I was thinking, like, actually watching some of the highlights of the game, like after it was over, like, man, I completely forgot about Kinlaw. I completely forgot about him, and just being out for the season and all those sort of things. And the way Arden Key's been playing, I was thinking about all these various storylines. Brandon Ayuk getting a penalty, coming right back, getting some of that yak, getting Jimmy G being accurate, but Brandon Ayuk still, making plays. And I was just talking about how I wanted to see more yak from him, how I wanted to see more, not only just possession receiver, third option, get the ball, make the first down on a button hook or on a little out going out of bounds. But what can you break? Like, can you actually make some plays? Be a playmaker, make some guys miss. We saw a little bit of that in the game and coming off of his game-winning catch against the Bengals. So there's all these different things that I was more so focusing on. But when you really think about it, I was watching the video that I sent you earlier today, JB. The video of Jimmy G from inside the NFL. I guess that's going to be on tonight to see like the full video. I don't know if that's out yet. I wanted to definitely see that, but I'm sure faithfully y'all know what I'm talking about. I can actually link to it in the comment section. But it's the high quality footage, cinematic footage of Jimmy G primarily just being juiced. Just he always is like that, right? He always has that energy. He always has that, let's go, talking to the crowd, all that good stuff, right? But the reason why I titled this episode, feeling dangerous, and that's a quote from Baker Mayfield, feeling dangerous right now, is because I just think the way that Jimmy G is playing, and if he could not turn the ball over and be efficient and be accurate, but I don't even think it's about stats and whatever, however you want to break that down. It's really just about the confidence level, man. I just feel like a vibe. Obviously, we've been winning some of these games, and that's a big part of it, but I'm just feeling a vibe and an energy with this team right now, and that's why I'm feeling dangerous, and that's my big takeaway from the game. I feel like this is energy we can carry. This could be the beginning of a run. We could easily lose. We could easily lose next week.
It is what it is, bro. Like, we are, we've won, I think, 5 out of 7. Jimmy is playing well. He's playing with more confidence. That's what it just seems like. His confidence is there. Kyle, man, I was watching a little bit of the press conference today, Kyle Shanahan's press conference, and I don't know. It's maybe I'm projecting. Maybe I'm projecting my own feelings. But
go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it, though, man. Project it then.
Like, it just seemed that he had the most confidence at a press conference, the most like, just it just seemed like he wasn't in the miserable. Like it seemed like he wasn't miserable. Like a lot of times, it could be, I don't know, just being up there, you could sense the like the just the, I don't know what it is, the miserableness of coaching. And just like being up there, got to answer questions. The beginning of the week, probably stressed out about putting a game plan in and whatever, all the other things that coaches have to worry about. But he just today it just seemed like he seemed like he was looser up there, like looser. I don't know, it just seemed looser. I'm talking about Kyle Shanahan, and I feel like it's looser, but you have a game on Thursday, which you would expect it to be extra hectic, extra stressful. But he just seemed more looser today, and he just seemed, like I said, more confident. And I mean, I think there's a reason behind that. I mean, the way we've been playing, we, like I said, we're trending upwards. Like I said, I'm a fan, and I'm gonna protect. I want to protect my heart, my emotions, because you was talking about earlier. You was talking about, one playoff win would be cool. Like, bro, if we get in the playoffs, like, it's Super Bowl or bust for me, and that might be a great way for you to protect your emotions, and that might be a smarter way. But for me, it's like I can't. Once we get to this level and the way we looking, it's like why can't we win? Like, no, we need to win the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, this is kind of going in a different direction, but I do think that once you make the trade like we did and trade all those assets, what I'm saying, for Trey Lance, it's kind of acknowledging that you think there is a significant, you think we need to upgrade at this position. You can say it's a long-term move, all those sort of things, but to me, it's like you're not confident that Jimmy G is the guy to lead you.
I hear you on that. But like that was like, now we're in the season. Now, like, that was before the season. That was before the game, before all the things that didn't happen. It's like, like, they don't know how the season gonna play out. But now how the season is playing out, it's like, what team is better than us? Like, it's not like, I mean, I just feel like all the teams are like, none of the teams are, obviously Green Bay and Tampa, those are the the guys, I guess, and you got the Chiefs out there, obviously, but my bad. Let me stop saying that. But
something that to your point, something I was thinking about today actually was the benefits of being an underdog. When we lost the Super Bowl to the Ravens, right? I felt like, and a lot of faithful out there felt like, we were the best team in the NFL that year. I don't think the Ravens were better than us. I think if we played them 10 times, I think we probably would win. And you could say, whatever, sore loser. At the end of the day, we lost, whatever. But I feel like we were the better team. I feel like we were the best team in the NFL that year. Okay. When we lost to the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game, I felt like we were the best, 1A, 1B, however you want to break it. But that was the Super Bowl. We were the best teams in the league that year. And I think, to me, when you really go back and look at all these various Super Bowls in the history of the Super Bowl, obviously, I don't want to say obviously because I hate that word, but it's best to be the best team in the league, or at least have the best, the best record, have your first round bye, have home games. All those things are competitive advantages. All of those things are competitive advantages if you're the quote unquote best team. But there are benefits to being the underdog. You just don't have the pressure. You don't have the vibe. If you're a good road team like us, like I keep envisioning us being on the road, first round of the playoffs against the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas, like all the hype that those fans have, all the branding, the nice stadium, the everything.
Right,
us just coming in there.
Tell you like this though, if we keep playing how we were playing, we're not gonna be no underdog.
But these other teams, though, JB, you don't think, I don't know. I think,
like, bro, if we keep playing the way we are playing, that's like saying the Colts are gonna be like the way we play. Like, I don't know, the narrative is starting to switch. I watch ESPN, everything. Or like, the Niners getting the playoffs, you ain't going to see them. And then especially the way Dallas been playing.
But there's degrees to it though. There's levels to it. Like maybe it's not going to be like every single person on a panel picks the other team to win, but I still think that we would be the point I'm making is being the road team, being the team that struggled for a part of the year, but then finally got the mojo at the end of the season. Like the New York Giants, the 2 times they won the Super Bowl. It's not like nobody would say that they were the best team in the league, even though they were coming in hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, and people bring up that parallel as a wild card team, but the point I'm making is that there are benefits to being the quote unquote underdogs, to struggling in the beginning of the season and getting your mojo, late in the season like we are. Like there are benefits to that. In my opinion, is that we traded up all these picks and whatnot to move on from Jimmy G in the future, right? And that to me is acknowledging that we feel like at the quarterback position, if it was another position, maybe I wouldn't feel this way. But at the quarterback position, there's a hole big enough where we've made all these moves, we traded all these assets, because we think that long-term, this gives us the best chance to win a Super Bowl and to be competitive year in, year out. There's financial implications, all those sort of things too. But I think a part of it is acknowledging like, we can win with Jimmy, but it's not putting us in the best position to do it. So that's why I say that we get into the playoffs, which we are going to get into the playoffs. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't care. We get into the playoffs. I'm not just looking at it like Super Bowl or bust like you are. I'm looking at it like we need to get a win. We get a win in the playoffs, like that's a good season. Anything off of that, I'm playing with house money. Like I'm juiced. Of course, I want to win the Super Bowl.
I'm just saying, bro. If we win the first game and lose the second game, I'm gonna be hot.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna be mad regardless. Everything comes down.
I'm gonna be hurt. I'm gonna be hurt. Maybe
you'll be hurt, but but after that first night, second night, first week, we have a podcast about it. We have our therapy sessions about it. We tap in with the faithful. We having conversations. What went wrong? What could we have done? What's in the offseason? What are we gonna do? Handing the keys off to Trey Lance. After you think about it, you be like, man, we sat Trey. Some people, like myself, wanted to see him play. Some people wanted to see him sit. Whatever. We sat Trey for the year. He should be. We have a new quarterback, a new level of excitement coming into next season, and we won a playoff game. Like that's the team that we have. We have a playoff team that won a playoff game with good momentum going into next year. Like I don't think it's just gonna be like, man, like we didn't hit any of our expectations coming into the season. I thought we were gonna be a Super Bowl team.
It's just gonna be.
It's not gonna be the same.
I don't know, man. When you lose, like I feel you, but it's like I just feel like it's just the cliche statement is so hard to win in the NFL, and it's like when you're actually in the dance in the tournament. I'm not at the point where I'm like, yeah, we're gonna be there next year. We're like, I don't know. I'm just not at that point yet.
That's because, but a big part of that is because we haven't seen Trey Lance though. I think that's a big portion or a big reason.
Yeah, that's a huge portion. Like we have no idea where we're gonna go with him. I mean, yeah, we might be Super Bowl contenders with him, or it could be the exact opposite. So, it's like I don't, that's yet to be seen. So that's even more. That's just uncertainty. You feel me? It's like we don't have, Patrick Mahomes. Like it's not like we got Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers. Like that's our fallback plan.
We might.
We got this young guy with talent who's who we'll see. We'll see. So I'm just, but it is what it is. It's gonna be interesting. But like I said, with the way Jimmy playing. I mean, yeah, man. I just want to see how far we could take it this year, and I don't know. This just our team, the way we play. It's like we got some players out there. They got the right mentality. It seems like, man, if we get into them playoffs, man, like I'm gonna be thinking like, who could beat us?
You keep saying if, man, when. Let's get into these comments like we're going to get into these playoffs. Make sure y'all tap in with us at 49x365. Also, Frontline Sports Media. You already know what it is. Tap in with all the different content we have coming out. Croc in the morning. Make sure you tap in with him for these morning shows. Also, tap in tomorrow at 6 p.m. with Jamal and Jasper. You don't want to miss that as they get you ready right before Thursday Night Football, a day before, and we'll be on the post-game show for that too. So make sure you tap in with us for that. But let's get to these comments, man. It's a few of them I wanted to highlight. They're talking about Elijah Mitchell, or talking about Jimmy on this comment, excuse me. He's playing well, but I just admit every time he throws the ball, I'm worried that it'll be a pick. I will say this. One thing about Jimmy and it's the thing about, I always love this quote about like, there's no such thing as fakeness, because fakeness is real. It's like if you like the whole concept of fake confidence, right? The whole concept of like, yeah, Jimmy G carries himself with that swag and stuff, but like at the end of the day, like, is he executing at a high level? One thing that we've seen, like, there is an energy. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? There is an energy where if the game is close or on the line, and it's not just Jimmy, it's Kyle Shanahan. You got to give him credit. It's our team. Guys like George Kittle in New Orleans making that big play. Guys like Ayuk against the Cincinnati Bengals making that play that he did. You know, whatever. We have playmakers on our team. You have a sense of confidence, right? When Jimmy's out there, when our team is out there, and the game is, you know, whether it's closing time or whether it's, you know, we need a score, you know, either one of those scenarios when the game's on the line, fourth quarter, overtime, you know, I feel like we have a good chance. I'm like, okay, let's see what we can do, right? And so we've seen times when we haven't gotten it done, but we've seen plenty of times where we have. So I do feel like that's one thing as you start to get, you know, one of those feelings about Jimmy. I do get a good feeling in that sense that, yeah, we can make something happen. Maybe it takes a DB dropping an interception, but hey, at the end of the day, he just got the magic touch, maybe. I don't know what it is. We just find a way sometimes to, at the end result, get these victorious outcomes. So that is like a reoccurring feeling that I'm starting to get with Jimmy. So I'm going to shout that out. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. Let's see. Are we better than
in terms of Jimmy G and confidence or fake confidence, like you said? I'm gonna just go to the way he's handled this situation from the jump. I just feel like he's probably like, I don't know. I just have a lot of respect for his mentality, the way he's carried himself. Like, you know, everybody says that the way he's carried himself, but like, no, just the fact of like, you know, that just has to make you. That the fact them bringing in Trey Lance has to make him feel insecure, like literally, like that's you know, it's like your job security is not secure anymore. So it's like, you know, just dealing with those insecurities, it never seemed like it got the best of him. And it like throughout the preseason games when, like we know Shanahan was like, I feel like Shanahan wanted Trey Lance to win that job. You know, and Trey Lance wasn't ready, and I just feel like that probably had to be, you know, just like we know Jimmy is not perfect in terms of like his play and his injuries. So I'm not, you know, we've talked about this many times, but at the end of the day, he's still a human being, and like, you know, just seeing somebody get, you know, like more chances than you in terms of preseason. He probably might. I mean, I don't know. I feel like for a lot of people, that would frustrate them and probably make them, you know, go. I feel like for a lot of people, that type of pressure, that type of you know, adversity, would make a lot of people, you know, go in the opposite direction. And then, you know, Jimmy got hurt too this year, so you know, just the way he's like, it's like, damn, you got hurt again.
Man, you really starting
to just killed everything off, killed his whole confidence off.
Right, you starting to really
we are now where it's like, oh, he's playing the best football ever. So I just feel like that has to be a testament to his mentality, that just, you know, just the type of person he is.
Yeah, you're starting to really get on the Jimmy train hard. I feel like these past few weeks, JB is what they call a Jimmy truth or not. I hate putting sides on this and stuff, like Jimmy G, the polarizing player. We always got to be one way or the other. I'm seeing another comment here from Bob Money.
And it's crazy. I'm not even saying like I like him like in terms of quarterbacking. I'm just talking about his personality. Like quarterbacking, I'm not even talking about that. Like I'm not even talking about like, is he like, you know, is he more than a mediocre quarterback? He honestly, I feel like he's still in that mediocre range, but I'm just talking about the mentality of you know, that mentality.
No, I got you.
Though, I feel like is something that could elevate him, and you know, is something that I feel like is
tangible.
Yeah,
it's tangible. It's real. And I think that's what it translates, especially at the end of the game. You know, I think Colin Coward was making the point earlier today, like, you know, Jimmy G is very similar to Kirk Cousins, but the difference is when the game's on the line or in, you know, clutch moments, I should say, you know, you feel a little bit more confident with Jimmy. It seems like he rises to the occasion, whereas Kirk kind of shrinks under it a little bit. And I think that's fair. And regardless if it's fair or not, that's the perception. And perception becomes reality. Back to what I was saying about fakeness and being real. Like, whether it's true or not, whether it means something or not, perception becomes reality. But let's get to the other side of it, because we got Bob Money. Shout out to Bob Money saying Jimmy G is effing terrible. The media makes up so much excuses for his win records. It doesn't even result in Lombardi trophies. What I wanted to comment about that is, like, to me, it's so interesting how they always say, the NFL is a game of inches. And it really, like, when you think about the Super Bowl that we were in, that Jimmy G was the quarterback for our team. If Nick Bosa gets a holding call on that third down play for the Chiefs, if Jimmy G, puts a little bit more air into the ball and Emmanuel Sanders makes that catch, like all these little things, like if we didn't get a tip pass here or what, just one play or one thing, then we win. And is the perception different then? Is it, oh, he's a winner? Is it like, is it the end of this comment says he doesn't even result in Lombardi trophies? Yeah, you can say that because we didn't get it done, but one little thing is off and we actually end up getting one. Like, is it that fickle where it's like, because those things happen, he's just trash? To me, it's just, you got to keep that in mind when having perspective about, especially when I said on the last time we were on a podcast that, I do my best to avoid the hot takes.
I just want to know what's up with why it gotta be like, okay, if you don't think he's the one, if you want to trade, but why it gotta be trash? Why that's what I be like, damn, like people think he trash? Like trash? Like people get real disrespectful with the way they talk about Jimmy, I'm like, damn. Like, what is that? What is it? It's because we drafted Trey, right?
No, I mean, I don't think that's what it is. I think, I'm
just saying,
don't you feel like people had those sentiments?
Cool. Like,
don't you feel like
he's playing right now is cool? So I'm like, why is there still like this?
But
like, I get
JB,
it, okay, he got hurt, but it's like, I mean, he's like, the level. It's like, or maybe it's what's the word? Like, if you got a stance, it's like you got to stick to your stance, and then it's like divided because it's like, oh, there's these people over there and these people over there, so I'm picking a side type thing.
Well, I think that because to your point about Trey Lance, I think it's independent because people had these thoughts even before. I mean, that's why we part of the reason why we got Trey Lance, because people had these thoughts even beforehand. But to me, I think yeah, because he closed his eyes in the Super Bowl. Funny, I'll give you that. Humorous. Shout out to Bob Money. But Red, who's been in the comments hard, appreciate you, man. Shout out to you. He said he's not trash, but he's not elite. He's average at best. I said on the last podcast, he's in the B range. And I think with the NFL, it's like a grass is always greener kind of thing. You see the Pat Mahomes advertised and all that they can do, and you just imagine things like, oh, if we had a quarterback like that, and it's like not everybody has a quarterback like that, like the Justin Herberts, like all these guys that are super dynamic, Lamar Jackson. But especially with our franchise, when you have a Joe Montana, when you have a Steve Young, you have MVPs, Hall of Famers, all timers at that quarterback spot. You have that pressure and that expectation of, we want the next great thing. Yeah, I want to win. Yeah, I want to get a Super Bowl. But no, I want to do it in this fashion. I want to do it with innovative, creative offense. I want to do it with, leading the league in passing yards and doing all these dope things. Like, that's what people, I think, want to see a lot of times. And because we have somebody who's good, but not great or elite at that level, and you can argue, some people could say he's great, that's fine, but in my opinion, good, solid, he's in that B range. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes he's up, sometimes he's down, but when you have somebody in that range like Jimmy G, I think some people, it's that desire to get to that next level which pushes him down even more. They also looking at
and it's like this, it's like this. We in the middle of the season, or not, we almost at the end of the season, and like you said, is if we able to win this year, then it's like, that's what it's all about. So if we able to win this year, then it's like, and if he keep playing the way he is playing, and we able to win this year with him playing the way he playing, then it's like, this is elite, great, all that type of, all them words that we throw out there. It's like, because that's why, like you said, if we would have made that throw to Emmanuel Sanders or whatever, but he didn't make that throw to people who want to criticize Jimmy. He didn't make that throw. We don't have a ring, but this year, if we able to get it, I'm stuck right now, but you get what I'm saying.
We'll see. It remains to be seen. If Atlanta picks up Jimmy's fumble, we still see him the same way. I don't know. I think that's true for like most people. People are results based. If this happens and the result is this, then we look at you. I look at it like process based. I brought that up in the post game show that he had that fumble. We've had that exchange. If it was a one time thing, I would say maybe it's not his fault. Maybe that's the center. Like maybe like this is kind of like a fluke play, but we've seen it more than one time. So I do give him some culpability. I do give him some credit on that on the negative side, and I do mark that off as like a negative play. But it's one turnover worthy play in the game, and playing a quarterback in the NFL, like those things, it's hard. You look on the flip side of that same game. And you're looking at Matt Ryan, who has been an MVP under Kyle Shanahan, which is what Jimmy G's under right now, right? He's been an MVP in the league, right? And Matt Ryan, somebody who's been to the Super Bowl as well, somebody who's a fringe, you can look at him in like Matt Stafford in some sense, where he's a fringe Hall of Famer just by the stats that he's put up and, the luxurious career that he's had. And on the flip side of the same game, Matt Ryan has a fumble. He has a fumble in that game, but nobody's talking about that. Like I to me, it's like playing quarterback is hard. I'm not saying Jimmy's elite. I'm saying he's solid and he's good. And if you have enough around him, he's always been the same. Like when our team's better around him, then he looks better. When our team's not as good around him, then he looks worse. Like, and obviously there's the culpability. Obviously there's culpability on his side as well, with that. But I do feel like when you talk about Jimmy and you talk about the turnovers, yes, the turnovers are a big part. He doesn't see the middle of the field. Those plays absolutely get me upset. The jittery Jimmy. Sometimes he just fumbles the ball out of nowhere. Like it we've seen that, right? But at the same time, playing quarterback is tough. Guys fumble. Things happen. Like it's not. We're not saying he's elite here. We're just saying those things happen. I want to get to some of these other comments. Jimmy G is not trash. He's just inconsistent. We don't know what we're going to get with him. I don't know if that's Mal Deuces or Mo Deuces. You got to tap in with us. Let us know. I do feel like he's inconsistent, but he's consistently inconsistent. So what does that make you then, right? Like we know what to expect. Jimmy is Jimmy. Jimmy is Jimmy. And that means so many different things to so many people, but Jimmy is Jimmy. Young LA 24 saying Jimmy is a third tier QB. You can win with him, but it's hard to win with him when nothing else is working. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. I think that's a fair comment.
And who can Patrick Mahomes win without Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and all them weapons he got? Like obviously, Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback. We know that he's elite. But even the elite ones, they need somebody. Aaron Rodgers was throwing a tantrum this year because they wasn't getting the playmakers that he wanted, and he got Devontae Adams. So, you need the good players around you.
Yeah, and I think another big point with Jimmy G is always the money. I don't want to make this all about Jimmy G, but there was a comment in here that I wanted to get to, which was about
Jimmy G. That's
every episode, right? Every episode, right? We
had
a comment here that said
every episode since the draft, all that Jimmy G, Trey Lance, like everything else is secondary.
Absolutely. We got a comment here said from Bob Money, kind of doubling down. He said, "Average is trash." And I think I'm happy you said that, man, because everybody has their definition. I was talking about my words and how I'm a stickler for words and whatnot. Everybody has their definition of sometimes using the same thing. So we all speak in a different language, right? I mean, some of these words get overused. Some of these words, people, when you overuse it, it loses its meaning, right? So from Bob's perspective, average is trash. So, I mean, that's fair enough right there. There was a comment in here. I can't find it right now, but somebody was talking about, let's see, Deuces was talking about, I think Kyle should just let Jimmy be aggressive down the field in our first drives, let him throw a deep pick, and then he'll settle in. That, to me, you don't want to set up with the mindset of like, let's just throw this pick. I think me, the thing.
Throw a pick. Hey, Kyle said that though. Kyle said that he said that he said I'm just joking, or I joke with him, but like basically saying like maybe he should just get him hit on the first play, or get the first pick over with, and then he'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, it looks like when you watch the All 22 a lot of times, and you'll see like the breakdowns from all the various content creators on 49ers Twitter if you don't have the All 22 access yourself, and you'll see like guys are open for deep shots. It's not like Kyle Shanahan's not drawing up, not scheming up plays where guys are open. I don't know if he's telling him, only go here if it's wide open or but sometimes it seems pretty wide open. Some of these deep shots to Ayuk, and we kind of use them just as clear out routes to get other things in the middle or other things in the intermediate area open. Like every deep route is essentially a decoy to make the defense, honor something that there's another layer to a specific concept in each play. That's what it looks like. And so I'm not sure what Kyle Shanahan's instructing Jimmy G. Ultimately, it falls on both of them, right? If you see this consistent issue happening and you want to be more aggressive and take these shots, then maybe we should be doing that. But I don't think it's like not that we don't have those plays drawn up, but maybe it is Kyle Shanahan instructing him to not, let it loose unless it's wide open. And really, when you talk about coaching, do you want to try to build somebody who it's his 8th, 9th year in the league? Do you want to build up his weaknesses, his areas that he's not the strongest in? Do you want to keep trying to do things that will improve that? Or do you want to like really, really, really focus on what he does best in your offense? I'll say that in your offense, what he does best, and kind of work off of that. So I think that's the debate that I kind of see. And this leads me to the comment that I wanted to get to, which is from Al A, which is, do y'all think Kyle holds Jimmy back? I think that Kyle, my opinion is that Kyle, I'll call him Mr. Shanahan, Coach Shanahan, put some respect on that name, the way we've been playing. I think Coach Shanahan, to me, he puts Jimmy in situations to execute his offense in the best areas that Jimmy's strong in for his specific offense. I think, to me, I always compare Jimmy to a Tony Romo type in the terms of, it's not a perfect comparison. But a Tony Romo type in number one, they both kind of do things where it makes you scratch your head and go like, what was that? Like there's like one or, usually there's like one play a game where it's like, what was that? But Tony Romo clearly did a lot more, throwing the ball. He was much more of a gunslinger quarterback, and he was in an offense that always reflected that, going down the field, those sort of things. I feel like from looking at Eastern Illinois to, some of what we saw with the Patriots, to when Jimmy first got here, when he got traded to us, to some of these fourth quarter situations, I just feel like Jimmy G is more comfortable. He looks, to me, in my opinion, more comfortable in that more so, gunslinger sort of role, where he's able to kind of spread the ball out along the field, do a faster paced offense, no huddle every now and then. Like I feel like he would be better suited in an offense like that. But with the way Shanahan has his scheme, the way he has his offense rolling, he's trying to put Jimmy in a position where he's accentuating his strengths for what Shanahan wants to do.
Hey, Shanahan has a philosophy. He's trying to win. And, he's not like that drop back, throw it 40 times, 50 times a game. Like that. That's like Jimmy could do that. Jimmy could do that. Like he could do that. Like I think he could do that. I think, he don't have that. He don't have Justin Herbert type arm or Josh Allen type arm. Like, these guys have cannons. Like, he don't have that. But Jimmy could throw, man. Obviously the deep ball isn't, like I say, he don't have that. He don't have that type of arm. He don't have that type of just cannon, Brett Favre type cannon. But, if we wanted to throw the ball 40, 50 times, we could do that. But we're just going to have way more picks, way more fumbles, way more whatever, all that stuff that come with dropping back and throwing it hella times.
Yeah, man. Deuce said, Mechie, bro, that training for Shanahan QBs, though, you got to remind me of what specific part you were asking about, because I definitely want to address that. And there's a few other comments in here. While we're addressing these other comments, I just wanted to real quick as like a last topic, as we can close this thing out with the rest of these comments. As a last topic, we got to acknowledge like Thursday night football right around the corner. I definitely wanted to, bring that up. We don't have to do a full sort of preview. I'm sure if y'all tap in tomorrow at 6 p.m. with Jasper and Jamal, they'll definitely tap into a little bit of that preview for the Tennessee Titans Thursday night football primetime game. But one thing that I was listening to, Grant and Vish, their show from yesterday. I was listening to it today while I was at work, and I think Grant had brought up the point that actually having this Thursday night football game this late in the season, especially, compared with, or, when you compare it to the fact that we had our bye so early in the season, this actually like could be a good thing. Because I was one of the people that beginning of the season, you looked at like, this is a scheduled loss, as they say, right? Where it's like, you're playing Thursday night football on the East Coast. You got Derrick Henry to go against. You got Julio Jones, A.J. Brown. Well, Julio Jones is not going to play. Derrick Henry, it doesn't look like he's going to play. A.J. Brown, I believe they activated him, but I'm not sure if he's going to play. It remains to be seen. And so this game just has a much different feel. And then on top of that, when you look at the fact that, we'll have a little mini bye going into the Texans week and then just closing out with the Rams, it just feels like it's set up for everything to just I didn't really think we had a too big of a chance going into this game. It may sound like a shock for I feel like a lot of the 49ers Twitter and talking with the faithful, but I do my best to look somewhat objectively at these games. Obviously, well, there goes that word. You want your team to do well. You want your team to win. Some people, you would argue, it seems like with this whole Jimmy divisiveness talk, sometimes people make it seem like they want us to lose, which is a separate conversation. But for the most part, you want your team to win, all those sort of things. But you look at the schedule, nobody has us going 17-0. Like you have the games where you say this might be a bigger challenge. You come into the game
you don't have to throw all these disclaimers on. You thought we was going to lose this game versus Derrick.
Yeah,
Henry,
exactly. We know what it is. Like we thought coming in, but now it's just like the way the season went and the way it's going. Like you just look at it and it's like this is a perfect opportunity for us, man. Like this game, prime time, I love it. And I was going to make one more comment before I hand it off to you, JB, and go through these comments. the game, today's game of the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams, it wasn't meant to be primetime. It was because of the whole COVID situation. They had to move things around, right? But that was a bad game to have as primetime, right? Because it was just a weak game. And it's funny because the game that they flexed us out of, the game that we had, it was messy, sloppy, trash, whatever you want to call it, but it was a Seahawks-Niners game.
Turned up.
It was a Seahawks-Niners game. So it was like, and I forget, I don't remember what game they put in place. I think it was a Chiefs game, but it wasn't good, right? And so I was just thinking about that whole aspect and like, being on prime time. And I don't feel like I don't think the Rams game is prime time. So I think this is our last prime time game of the season to close things out. And it's just everybody's watching. It's to your point about how you're seeing analysts and all these different panels and stuff. They're talking about how we're getting some of that momentum to where if we're playing one of these teams that, in the playoffs, we're going on the road and playing one of these higher seeded teams, it's not going to be just an underdog scenario, just 100%. We're just the worst team coming in. It's going to be some people who are rocking with us because we're getting momentum now. We're getting momentum. You feel it from national media, from just, watching the team clearly. You feel that energy that we're getting right now. And I think this game is set up perfectly. And I'm just excited. I just wanted to acknowledge that because it was a good point that was made.
For sure. And we, Vegas got us as the favorite.
Favorites.
So we're literally the favorite in this game.
Exactly. So it's just interesting how things change. So I definitely wanted to bring that up, just talking about the Titans before we close out the show. Let's get to some of these comments and, leave it like that and go from there. Let's see. Technically, the Super Bowl that is 0 and 1 Super Bowl does not come back. People blame the Super Bowl loss on Jimmy. I blame the interior O-line because Chris Jones had a field day. Look, you got to blame the whole team. There's a lot of blame to go around, from Saleh to Shanahan to Jimmy to the interior O-line to pretty much everybody but Debo, everybody but Juszczyk. Kittle had a solid game too. You can even blame the refs. I would never do that, but you could do that. So it's a lot of people to tap in with that. What else we have? Yeah, people wanted Nick Mullins instead of Jimmy. I mean, hey, people wanted a lot instead of Jimmy, but I will say this about the Jimmy comments and all that sort of thing.
Hey, remember we called him it was BDN. We started calling him LDN. LDN. Back at it.
I'll let y'all put 2 and 2 together. BDN to LDN. Nick Mullins.
It could have been BDN, but you kept losing them games, so you had to switch it. All
well,
right.
we're gonna need a nickname for Trey. So we need to figure out what that's gonna be. Hopefully, it's something good.
Bro,
Nicknames,
hey, this is hella random, but I think Trey, bro.
Nothing's random.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think he's doing some stuff with his hairline. I think he's trying to do that like LeBron treatment, like his hairline starting to thin, right? And we all know that's the thing. Like, 20, like my hairline started thin at that age, like 20,
Yeah.
21.
Mm. Yeah.
And I feel like I seen a picture of him and he had like it didn't look like no design, but he had like a scar on the side of his head. Like, people like, it seemed like that's the people try to get this like this little surgery thing. Like I just seen it. I'm like,
The implant.
hold on, what's going on? Is he trying to bring it back? Like I feel like it's hard to bring it back. Like if LeBron can't bring it back, it might be ugly for you, Trey.
What they call that
Am I
character
tripping?
in The Simpsons, Sideshow Bob.
Yeah.
We're not the 49ers ain't in the town, but hyphy movement, Bay Area. Maybe we call him Sideshow Trey. I don't know. We'll see.
Sideshow Trey. Nah, we gonna just hey, it ain't nothing wrong with going bald. The great ones was bald, man. MJ, Kobe, Mayweather. There's nothing
Bezos.
wrong with it.
I said Bezos. Let's see. What I was gonna say. Oh, but we did trade all these picks for Trey, so it's not just like, oh, guys were clamoring for Nick, and now that like we put ourselves in this situation. We created a lot of this drama this year, so that's always the caveat with these Jimmy conversations, because it's not like we just drafted a quarterback. We traded up all these picks to draft a quarterback and got the one that we specifically wanted. So it's not like we're just making up all this stuff out of thin air, right? We've come so far with Jimmy. Now let's not distract him with our noise. Now, shout out to Key and Peele. Noise. Darius has been in this chat from the jump. We appreciate you. Shout out to you. This was something that we could do a whole different podcast on, but we're closing out. I did want to acknowledge the comment though from Tavarius. Appreciate you. Mayoko said on a recent podcast he talked to someone in the organization and said that Trey injured his finger versus the Raiders in the preseason. That is why his accuracy was off, and he looks great now.
I heard that, man. The only part about that like narrative that I don't like was that his accuracy was off before that Raiders game. Like he had the Vikings.
I was at that Chargers game. I was at the Chargers game. You can talk about the Cardinals game. Yeah.
He wasn't throwing like, he was inaccurate. He was inaccurate in preseason before them games. The Raiders game was like,
Yeah, I mean, look, a comment like this is great to have an explanation for something, not an excuse, just an explanation. But at the same time, like you go out there on that field, produce. Like every time you step on that field, you are showing yourself to the world. You're showing yourself. It's on the film. So if you're healthy enough to go out there, and I get it, it's great to want to go out there and be that guy who's gonna be tough and all those sort of things. Like there's an aspect of that too, right? Because we've talked about Jimmy and questioning his toughness in some regards. But at the same time, like if you're not healthy enough to go out there, don't go out there. Like I don't like when Jimmy has the performance he has against Miami and Kyle Shanahan's at the press conference after saying the only reason we took him out is because he was hurt. That's the only reason. It's like he was out there though. And it's like I just feel like, yeah, it could explain a part of the reason why, things didn't look how they did. But it's like you're putting that on tape. Like somebody had that comment earlier about Jimmy should just air it out in the beginning of the games. Well, we saw how that Miami game looked like. So, but again, blame it on the injury. What else we got? Just a few more comments before we close this thing out. It's a big one. We have a good coach that can build a running game around damn near any running back. Our receiving core is finally coming along. Defense is firing on all cylinders, minus the cornerbacks, but no quarterback to execute. I mean, damn. Like, you just feel like there's no quarterback to execute at all. Like, we're just playing out there with like a running back at quarterback, and we're playing out there like no quarterback to execute.
We not playing with like somebody.
He's executing at a high level.
It's not like we have CJ Beathard out there. Like, yes, we don't have Aaron Rodgers or Mahomes or any of those guys, but put some just a little bit. Like you don't get a little bit of confidence from the way Jimmy been playing. Like just a little bit.
And let's end off on this one. Just clarification on that comment from Deuces. The comparison to Ryan and Cousins is what he was asking about. That everything around them has to be going well for them to succeed. Quarterback is tough. I understand. Yeah, definitely like the caveat at the end because it's just as tough. But Matt Ryan, I don't know. Like when you look at it, yes, he's played with Julio Jones, which is one of the best receivers of all time. Now he's got a few weapons out there. We obviously, he's fresh on our minds. I'm saying that word again. He's fresh on our minds from we're just playing him, but didn't have Ridley and didn't have some of the weapons. And Pitts should hopefully be able to grow as his career goes along. But I don't know if I would consider Matt Ryan as like a quarterback. When you win an MVP in the league, to JB's point about Pat Mahomes and him playing with Kelsey and him playing with Tyreek Hill and, like all these teams have weapons. They should have weapons. That's not a bad, you don't want to knock them for having weapons. Stafford, first one to, 50,000 yards, but he had Megatron. He had weapons, various points in his career. JB also brought up Aaron Rodgers and the weapons that he's had, right? So, it's tough to say like the fact that, the comparison is that they need everything around them to be going well. That's the case for Tom Brady. Look at his teams. And that's the case for a lot of players, but you still have to execute in, everybody's in a different scenario, right? Everybody's in a different situation, but can you win? Can you find a way to make it win for you? Some teams are more run heavy. Some teams are more pass heavy. Some teams have, dynamic yak guys. Some teams have a great tight end. Some teams, we all have different components of what makes a good team and what makes a great team, but can you make it work with what you have? That's the only thing you should be judged on, right? I don't look at the weapons that Jimmy has. And when I make the comment about things being good around them, I'm more so talking about the defense and, the archetype of our team being a defense run first team, because that kind of makes it a different sort of dynamic that a quarterback has and the responsibilities that quarterback has versus somebody who's in a gunslinger, throw the ball 40 times a game offense. You're going to be more susceptible to lose those sort of games, even if that quarterback's playing good, so it's just playing that more conservative style of football and, limiting the opportunities for there to be turnovers and interceptions. And just thinking about it, man, like throwing the ball is a lot harder than running the ball and handing it off to somebody, so it's just, that's what it comes down to. It's more conservative. And I think we've been able to win in that fashion. Let's get to this last one before we close out. If the Niners had a little bit of confidence in Jimmy, do y'all think we gave up all those draft picks and moved up in the draft to get Lance? Come on now. Well, we did make that move. We did trade up all those picks to get Lance. So the team is telling you themselves that they feel how they feel. It remains to be seen how good Lance is. One of the topics we didn't get to on this episode that I want to in the future, and it's going to be a good offseason topic too, is the whole the rookie quarterback class in general and how things have stacked up. And looking back on the decision to sit Trey Lance, and if that was in fact the right decision. We just saw Justin Fields in prime time again. We've seen Zach Wilson struggles. He seemed like he's really struggling. One thing I'll say, I guess, before we sign off on that topic, is something I was thinking about earlier when I was watching Justin Fields, is that I think everybody wants to compare Mac Jones and Trey Lance because that seemed to be the pick that was, right? Everybody, all the reports, all these things about Mac Jones and seeing him having some level of success. People would argue how much success that is. People would say he's just being a game manager and yada, yada. Other people are saying, no, he's a rookie. He's coming in, doing his thing. They're winning. Like, he seemed like he would be the right pick. That comparison's always going to be there. But the comparison I think is even more fun is Trey Lance to Zach Wilson, because Zach Wilson was taken ahead of us. And the question is, like, if Zach Wilson wasn't there, let's say Justin Fields was taken, would we have taken Zach Wilson? Would that have been the pick? I don't know. We'll never know, right? But it's interesting to me to watch how Zach Wilson has performed versus Trey Lance. We haven't seen too much of Trey Lance, of course. We've seen a lot more of Zach Wilson so far. But to me, I'll break it down this way, JB. If Mac Jones has a better career than Trey Lance, if Mac Jones has Pro Bowl appearances, all these various things, right? And he does his thing, and let's say he's better than Trey Lance, I will still think it'll mean more if Trey Lance is better than Zach Wilson. Does that make sense? I think the comparison between Trey to Zach is even more vast than from Mac Jones.
I mean, if Trey Lance is better than Zach Wilson, then yeah, then it's a good. I mean, if Trey Lance is a good quarterback, then that's all that matters. If he's a bust, then that's when it's like, damn. Exactly.
But the point I'm making,
so
though,
I mean, if he's a good quarterback, like if Mac Jones is just a little better, then I could live with that. But it's just if he's one of those, like if he's not a starting quarterback type thing, then that's when we gonna have issues. And yeah, I mean, Fields, that was crazy. Like it just seems like it just seemed like damn, like he don't have, we got Debo, Kittle, Trent Williams, everybody. I don't know. It just seemed like Fields don't have nobody, and I'm not making excuses for him because I just feel like, and then also it just seems like he's just not. I don't know. It's just like I don't. He's looking like a rookie out there. He's not looking like like Russell Wilson rookie year. Even though Russell Wilson had a better team, so that's there. You could argue that point. Russell Wilson had a way better team, but he's just looking like a rookie out there.
Yeah, and they say you only get better with reps. But say that to Pat Mahomes, say that to Aaron Rodgers. It remains to be seen. I don't care. At the end of the day, it's about results. We'll have to only wait and see. And if Trey Lance is great, then some people are going to say, "Look, all that sitting did him." It helped him develop. Other people are going to say he should have been playing from his rookie year because this is how he looks. Like we just wasted a year for no reason. So either way, you're going to lose out. You can make your argument based on how it goes. But like JB said, at the end of the day, we just want to see him good. And I'm going to close out on this. Well, we want to see him great. I'm going to close out on this comment from Mal Deuces. It says, well said. My tag name is Mal, like Maui. I wanted to make sure I got that in there and pronounced it right because I'm big on pronunciation. My name is Amechi. A lot of people say Amici. I'm not Italian. This is an Amici pizza. Amechi, Nigerian. Shout out to all my Nigers. So you got to get the pronunciations right here. That's what they be saying. That's what they say all the time. You know how it is. Amici. But in any case, man, he said, and Deuces like South Central, the movie. Appreciate the love. I'm going to have to call it Deuces right there on this show and sign out. Unless there's any last thoughts that you have. He's putting up the peace sign. I think he's ready to go. So we're going to end it like that. This is the Tonight Show, episode number 2. We're so excited to keep this thing going. Like I said, Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Cali time. Y'all make sure y'all tap in the comment section. We didn't get a chance to get to it today, but next time we're on, we may have some people on, send you guys the links. If you want to hop on face-to-face with us, tap in, talk in, get your thoughts, all that good stuff. Like I said, make sure y'all tap in tomorrow, Wednesday night at 6 p.m. with Jasper and Jamal, the Niner Talk Show. You want to make sure you tap into that as we get set for this Tennessee Titans Thursday night football primetime game. We will be on the post-game show, so we can't wait to tap in with that. But my name is Biamechi, and as always, I'm with JB.
And we out, man. Faithful, man. Stand up, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be on the Tonight Show.
This is the 49 Spot Podcast.
And faithful. Stand up, baby.